Hi, my name is Ty. I'm with Mark Twain Hobby Center, and today we're going to talk about DIY drones. Now, when drones first started coming onto the market, there were a lot of people starting to build their own out of scratch parts. We at Mark Twain were only capable of stocking what our suppliers had built ready to fly, bind and fly, what have you, and selling them on the shelf. We never really spent much time investigating and stocking the DIY parts. In October of 2014, we started stocking a lot more DIY parts for guys that wanted to build their own quads, hexes, octocopters, drones, what have you. Anybody that wants to build their own drone, there's a lot of math that goes into it, a lot of science that goes into it, but it's not difficult to figure out. There's a lot of great tools on the market for figuring out whether or not your model will fly. There's a lot of people that have already done exactly what you're trying to do, so you can at least use what they've done as a blueprint. Whatever it is you want to do, there's some guy on a forum somewhere that's already tried it. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to build your own. Why would you ever want to build your own is an excellent question. I built this hexcopter here because I wanted an aerial photography platform capable of taking up a GoPro with considerable flight time. I wanted OSD, on-screen display. I wanted the redundancy of multiple propellers, more so than you can get out of a quadcopter. I kind of just wanted something bigger than what I already had. When you build something DIY, when you build your own quad, you're able to tailor its use and its functions to what it is you want to do with it. If you want to go fast, you want to build one that runs 70 miles an hour, then you can spend your money building a fast quad. Fast quads don't fly very long. Fast quads can't lift a lot of payload. Just the same, a quad like this that has a lot of lifting capacity and has a long flight time, it's not the fastest quad you're ever going to see. So when you look at ready-to-fly options, there's a handful of options on the market, but are they going to be tailored to what you want to do? Some might and some might not. Now, when I built this hexcopter here, every single thing on it was rang through the registers here at Mark Twain. It came off of the shelves. This is not a mail order build at all. It is all done in store, in our brick and mortar store. And I'd like to say that we've probably got the best selection of DIY multi-rotor parts in any brick and mortar store in a large radius. Almost every single thing on this thing is from a different manufacturer. So I've got an Eagle Tree flight controller, a DJI branded frame, Spectrum radio equipment, Fat Shark FPV equipment, Cobra branded motors, Galley branded speed controls. You can see when you build something like this, you can pick and choose each component to your liking. If you've got experience with a certain brand of motors, but you don't like their speed controls, if you heard good things about a certain flight controller, you've got your own radio equipment you want to use, there's any number of reasons you'll pick one component over another in a DIY multi-rotor, and that's one of the daunting things about building your own is there's so many choices on the market. DJI is a big name in multi-rotors. You can find that they sell their frames with their own branded motors, their own branded speed controls, their own branded props, their own branded flight controller, everything DJI, and you've got a pretty good guarantee that it's going to work perfectly fine out of the box. When you start doing something like I did, you have to sit down, crunch some numbers, look at propeller charts. eCalc is an excellent resource. If you Google eCalc, there's a website that you can plug in your model's weight, how many rotors, which brand of motor, which type of propeller, which brand of speed control, all the information that you have. They'll tell you how long you should expect to fly, whether or not this thing can fall out of the sky or not with a bad motor, how much lifting capacity. Excellent amounts of information available on the internet. You just got to know where to look. Something else you'll see guys building their own quads for is FPV racing. The 250 millimeter, 280 millimeter, 210, 180. Those smaller quads, a lot of those guys build their own quads because they can't seem to find a manufacturer that offers as good a product as what they are going for. So a lot of that stuff as well. Some guys just want to get into it for the engineering aspect of it. Learning how to build this model itself, I did the numbers. I had very good confidence that my numbers were going to be accurate, and I was able to predict down to the minute just how much flight time I had. So it was definitely a fun experience to build my own. and I have something that you can't quite buy on the market. So this is an excellent project for somebody that has some engineering in mind. There's not a lot that goes into a multi-rotor that you scratch build that doesn't go into a multi-rotor that's bought off of the shelf. They're all going to have basically the same components, the amount of components. It's just that they're all going to be from different brands or the same brand or what have you. They're all going to have a radio. They're all going to have motors. They're all going to have propellers. They're all going to have speed controls to drive the motors. They're all going to have some kind of flight controller, stabilizer that tells the speed controls to speed up or slow down. Those flight controllers are all going to have gyros, accelerometers. They're all going to have an airframe. It's not terribly different from what you see in this case here. It's just that this is custom tailored to what I wanted to do with it, and that's why I decided to build it. One of the nice things about building a quadcopter or building a hexcopter is that if I became dissatisfied with my speed controls, or I became dissatisfied with my motors, or I just wanted to go with a larger model, a lot of my components I can translate from one model to the other. My radio components, those don't care which size model you have, they're all the same. Your flight controller typically doesn't matter what size of a model you're flying, your flight controller is going to do just about the same thing. If I wanted to go to a bigger model, I'd probably have to get bigger motors, bigger speed controls, bigger propellers, maybe even a bigger frame if I can't extend this one. So the idea is that when I upgrade to everything bigger, it's still compatible with my flight controller, which is fairly universal, still compatible with my radio, which is fairly universal. Going bigger means I should be able to carry a bigger battery. I should be able to carry my GoPro gimbal without any problem. It's all compatible with other components, but it's also not compatible. It's an interesting mix. These speed controls will plug into the flight controller just like any other speed control will. The question is whether or not that speed control is enough for the motor and prop combination, and whether that motor and prop combination is enough to lift my quad. That all comes down to the numbers. There's a really excellent article out by Lucian Miller of Innovative Designs. He's the guy that actually designs and produces the Cobra motors. He was the one I learned how to build multi-rotors from in his article. He basically explains all the basics. Anybody can go out and do this with some motors, some yardsticks, a Tupperware bin, or something as sophisticated as an actual frame. Does not take a rocket scientist, but is an excellent learning experience. If you can find the article, it's out there. If not, you can find a lot of other good information about it. The information's out there. It just takes a little bit of research to figure it out. Just like the ready-to-fly models, the DIY models also feature a lot of the same GPS features and stabilization features, return home, data logging, altitude hold. All these features you can get on a ready-to-fly model, you can typically also get on a DIY model. There's actually some features you can only get on a DIY model that you're not going to find as easily on a ready-to-fly model. Waypoints, GPS waypoints, you typically only find those on a DIY scratch-built quad. So there's a handful of features out there that you're going to find only on a DIY model. And the reason for that's quite simple. A lot of those features that are really only on models like these, it's because there's just not enough demand in the market for a mass producer like Blade, Horizon Hobby, Helimax to produce a quad that can do those things. Those manufacturers that produce ready-to-fly quads, they build them to cater to a wide variety of people, a wide variety of applications, and there's nothing wrong with that, and they actually do a very good job at doing that. But if you want something kind of DIY, something tailor-made to your interests, you want to put a $3,000 infrared camera on this to see how hot your crops are or something like that, that's great. Not a lot of people want to do that. So have at it. Typically all those, all the aerial photography that's being done right now, all the nice stuff that's movie quality, they're typically not being done on ready-to-fly models. They're being done on custom-built octocopters, custom-built hexacopters, something that's custom-built to take up, a 10-pound DSLR or 10-pound Cinema Red camera. Those are custom applications, and thusly they demand custom models. General applications, we can use ready-to-fly or bind-and-fly models. There is a place in this market for scratch built custom models, there is a place in this market for ready to fly and bind and fly models. If you're just getting into quadcopters and drones, you don't want to worry about whether or not the motors and speed controls and props are all going to work together, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there's a ready to fly or bind and fly model that's actually pretty close to what you want to do with it anyway. So if you're interested in DIY scratch building, we've probably got the best selection around for what you want to do. If not, we've also probably got the best selection for ready to flies. So one way or the other, there's a quad out there for you. That about wraps up my video on DIY. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.